like I'm the first one here.
Let's go in.
Is the employer here?
Excusez-moi, il y a Monsieur Leduc derrière vous, Monsieur Lalonde ici, le doyen de la faculté des sciences. Puis on attend Monsieur Mario Lamontagne. Oui, il est là. Merci.
No problem. All right.
Good PR.
First of all, I've had great learning experiences there as well. I've had incredible courses, wonderful professors.
Professor Denis Rancourt came out of the meeting, and now he's going to tell us what happened, what was said, what are the results, what will happen next.
I can't really do what Mark just promised because it was a confidential meeting. I'm legally bound to preserve that aspect of it, but there are some things I can tell you about. There were 4 people in the room, well 5 people because there's a court transcriber in addition to the 4 negotiators. There was a member of my association, the Professors Union here at the University of Ottawa, and myself were sitting on one side of the table, and on the other side there was the Dean of the Faculty of Science, André Lalonde, and the liaison officer for the university, Mr. Jean-Yves Leduc, who was present on the other. They represented the other side. But throughout the entire meeting, I couldn't help but realize or think, and this is my opinion, my perception, there were many more than 5 people in the room. It's very clear to me. And in particular, there was a team of corporate lawyers. There was an upper university administration. There was an entire institution in the room facing me. And I was very much aware of that because I could see the detailed notes, I could see the preparation that went into the university's position. So that's one aspect. Now in the end, what has happened is that, as you know, I put forward a concrete proposal. I re-expressed my good faith in trying to negotiate something. And my main question going into that room, which I repeated several times, was, is the university prepared to start a negotiation process? Is the university prepared to open a door of some kind? Je vais juste répéter un peu en français là. Il me semblait qu'il y avait plusieurs personnes dans la pièce. Il me semblait que l'institution entière était dans la pièce avec le doyen et la personne des ressources humaines. Il me semblait que même mon impression, c'est qu'Alan Rock lui-même était dans la pièce avec les avocats de la corporation, etc. Et c'était évident qu'il y avait une position très dure qui se présentait, et je vais vous la décrire un peu dans la mesure du possible. So what the university has done is to say, we will, it's a position that I had not foreseen, but they basically said, we will mediate, but under these very strict conditions. And the conditions are exceedingly strict. And in fact, one of the conditions I'm very concerned about puts me in a very difficult situation, because if I were to follow that condition, I would need to break the professional promise that I made to students during the course, which was that I would not allow the administration to see their exam copies and their documents that they wrote, intending to write them to me, and including their feedback and their personal comments and so on. And so I tried to understand the university's position. I tried to propose, for example, that a third person remove the extremely sensitive material, the confidential material, the identity of the students and so on from these copies, and that was flatly rejected. So it puts me in a very, very difficult position. I also asked that a mediator, an independent mediator, rule on the question of my professional responsibility with regards to these copies. And I said that I would abide by that ruling. I believe that if an independent mediator were to look at this question, they would side with me, given the circumstances of this case, which I have explained in great detail to the university, and that is well documented. In addition, I find that this request from the university is disingenuous, and in order to demonstrate that, I want to go back and look at the record a little bit, and I want to explain that this entire question of the exam copies and whether or not the institution is allowed to see these exam copies that are written for the professor and in communication with the professor, we had many, many exchanges on that point. And in conclusion to those many exchanges, a letter was sent to me from the administration, from the dean, that dates back to August 2008. And in that letter, the dean said, "I respect your right to adopt your position to not give the exam copies until such time as the dispute is resolved by a third party." So in August of 2008, the dean wrote to me explicitly on the record that he respected my right, having looked at all my arguments that I put forth based on legal opinions and so on. The dean said, "I respect your right to do that." And then there was silence on that question for many, many months. And only when the university stated that they were now dismissing me did the dean bring up this question of the exams again, many months later in December of 2008. Okay? So I find it very disingenuous that the university would now say, as a precondition to even sitting down with you, you must immediately supply those copies without any conditions or anything like that. And I read the dean's own letter to him at the meeting, and the position was firm, absolutely firm. So that's a situation I would put in a very, very difficult position. Also, the deadline that would be attributed to this mediation is such that it has to be over and done with before the next meeting of the executive of the Board of Governors. And I was told that my case is scheduled to be discussed at that meeting, at the next meeting, which will be March 31st. So March 31st is the planned final decision point where the recommendation for dismissal will be approved by the executive of the Board of Governors. I mean, it's a ridiculous agenda. You cannot mediate a complicated case like this in 10 days. So I think that it's a way of saying, I think that when you interpret what the university told me today, what it means is we're not interested in mediating. We'll see you on the 31st and you're out of here. That's the result of the meeting today. That's my understanding of it. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.